to provide a public space that will energize the West Side and provide a lasting benefit to our great city. And we know that whatever concept we ultimately choose will be one that we can all support with pride. At this time, I'd like to thank the individuals who have been instrumental in making this project a reality. They include today's moderator and special advisor to the Dart Street project, Bob Shibley, City of Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown, the Dart Street Advisory Committee members, the Black Rock Riverside Alliance, and the developers who are presenting their proposals to you today. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge all of you who are participating in this public exhibition. We look forward to your feedback and thank you again for joining us.
So thank you, President Conway-Turner, for that framing of this discussion. I want to remind our audience out there that you can ask questions of us at dartstreet@buffalo.edu, dartstreet@buffalo.edu, or text us at 716-309-4365, 309-4365. Your comments and questions are what's going to make this work, so please bring them on. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the mayor of our city of Buffalo, Byron Brown.
This is Mayor Byron Brown, pleased to be here for the Dart Street virtual public exhibition. Public aspects of this exciting project were paused in spring 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. During this online event, we will hear from 3 development teams who responded to the request for proposals. Each will showcase their vision for the 8-acre site on Dart Street. This is going to be a great update. I want to thank Buffalo State College President Dr. Catherine Conway-Turner and the college affiliate BSCR Corporation for keeping this project moving forward. I announced the selection of Buffalo State as the designated developer in my February 15, 2019 State of the City address. For some time, my administration has been planning to relocate the city's auto impound facility and put Buffalo State College in the position to lead the community conversation about the best use for the site that benefits the college and the surrounding communities. I fully support Dr. Conway-Turner and the SUNY Buffalo State Board and staff, and have no doubt they will use this process to come up with a creative and fitting use for this highly visible site. Today, the public will get to see 3 different development plans and offer feedback. I thank those who responded to the RFP and look forward to the revitalization that's ahead for this site being led by Buffalo State, one of our city's great anchor institutions, and for Buffalo's West Side.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. One of the ways you know it's a live entertainment event, a large exhibition event, live, is that we make mistakes live. So let me give you that email address for comments again, please. It's dartstreet@buffalostate.edu, dartstreet@buffalostate.edu. Those comments will be important to us. Please bring them on as we go. And thank you, Byron Brown, for the image of the car impound lot transitioning to something potentially really terrific for the city. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Marianne Kedron. Thank you, Marianne Kedron, the president of the Black Rock Riverside Alliance.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Marianne Kedron, and I am the chairperson of the Black Rock Riverside Advisory Committee for the Dart Street Project. Our committee was convened at the request of Buffalo State College as it embarked on a year-long process seeking to identify best uses for the development of the Dart Street property. This advisory committee represents the communities that will be affected for generations to come by whatever choices are made today for the redevelopment of this key property. We include the Black Rock, Riverside, West Hurdle, Grant Amherst, and the West Side communities of the City of Buffalo, with organizations such as Grant Amherst Business Association, Black Rock Riverside Alliance, and visions Niagara represented. Because this property is an important part of our community, nestled next to Buffalo State College, with its access to Scajaquada Creek, the Black Rock Harbor, and ultimately the Niagara River, we were especially pleased to be asked to the table early in the process. We believe our voices were valued and respected throughout the year as we advocated for what we feel is important to our communities. Our guiding principles included raising the profile and value of our Scajaquada Creek, promoting and integrating green spaces where possible, recognizing the value of our Buffalo State College partners, advocating for the health and quality of life of our communities, and promoting economic growth that will benefit all our community members. We thank Buffalo State and the City of Buffalo for its inclusive and visionary process, and we believe the resulting responses to the request for proposal you will see tonight are reflective of all our hard work. As always, we believe we are better when we work together for all. Thank you and enjoy the evening.
Thank you very much, Marianne Kedron and the Black Rock Riverside Alliance. It's now my pleasure to introduce Lori Barnum, who is the Vice President for Finance and Management at Buffalo State College. Lori?
Good evening, and welcome everyone joining us tonight. This virtual format is certainly not what we envisioned for our public exhibition 6 months ago before the pandemic. But we are excited nonetheless tonight to share with you some of the exciting proposals for the Dart Street parcel. As Dr. Conway Turner said, this process started in February 2019 when our affiliate BSCR Corporation entered into a designated developer agreement with the City of Buffalo for the parcel at 166-170 Dart Street. Since that moment, we've made it our priority to work with stakeholders like you, both on and off campus, to garner feedback and ideas to help inform our collective vision for this project. Beginning in spring 2019, we met with our campus community and community stakeholders to share our vision for the Dart Street project, as well as seek input for the development of our RFP. During these meetings, we learned that there was interest in better understanding our college mission, vision, and needs. So with our provost, Jim Mayrose, we launched a series of community meetings and shared our campus facilities master plan, our academic program priorities, and our vision. We thank you for your participation tonight, and we thank all of our community partners for your incredible engagement during this process. Thanks to your feedback, we are able to craft a clear and comprehensive vision statement for the project, a statement shared during the RFP process that generated the proposals that we will review this evening. While we explained throughout the RFP process that we did not have a preconceived idea of what should be developed on the site, we were clear that the proposals must support the development vision. That vision states that the development at 166-170 Dart Street must support Buffalo State's strategic plan and facilities master plan by seamlessly connecting to the existing campus footprint while augmenting and improving the college experience for our students. Welcome the community and support revitalization efforts on Buffalo's west side. This is consistent with Buffalo State's commitment to civic and community engagement, as our position is not only an anchor institution for the City of Buffalo, but also a SUNY's only urban engaged campus. Consider waterfront access, green space, and other sustainable solutions. The project should not negatively affect water quality or the ecological health or Scajaquada Creek or the surrounding area. Enhance the appearance of the campus, neighborhood, and city, especially for those traveling along the western end of the New York State Route 198. And lastly, leverage in creative, viable funding solutions to bring this development to fruition while considering future operating costs and impacts to the campus. Before we transition to the next phase of our program, I do want to offer some quick clarifications to help set expectations as we move forward during this process in the coming months. I would also ask you to keep these points in mind as we review the proposals tonight. Although the BSER Corporation is a designated developer on this project, it should not be assumed that the Buffalo State College will eventually be the primary owner of or have financial participation in the final project. The college has taken no position on any of these proposals in this regard. It remains possible the college could acquire the property at the end of the designated developer agreement, but that is not known. During tonight's presentation, you will hear statements from developers that touch on the program, ownership, financing, and administration related to the Dart Street project. Please note that these are just ideas at this stage, and the college has not taken a formal position on those proposals. When the selected developers recommended and approved, aspects of the development will be negotiated with the City of Buffalo as part of the land disposition agreement. The LDA will set the terms of the project development. Lastly, during tonight's presentations, you will hear the developers discuss both their concept proposals for the Dart Street parcel and their broader visions for the surrounding area. While we feel this broader context is important to see as part of our public exhibition this evening, we want to clarify that our designated developer status with the city and our RFP process pertains to the Dart Street parcel only. With that in mind, we look forward to continuing tonight's program and to hearing what you think about these exciting ideas as we move forward to making a recommendation for the development of 166-170 Dart Street parcel. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori Barnum. So we're now going to move into a series of 3 14-minute presentations from the developer teams. I want you to remember, please, any questions you have about the way we've set the frame and the information provided by our first 4 speakers welcoming you here. Please write to dartstreet@buffalostate.edu or text us at 716-309-4365. Now we're going to start one team at a time, and our first presentation is from Team Colby, the Colby Development, LLC.
Hello, my name is Bob Biniskevich. On behalf of the collaborative team of Sportstar Capital Incorporated, Carmina Wood Morris DPC, Environmental Design and Research DPC, BlackRock Rail LLC, and Colby Development LLC, it's our pleasure today to introduce to you our concept which we call the WEST Plan. WEST is an acronym for Westward Expansion, Sportsplex, and Tonawanda Street. Each of these elements plays a role in our concept. The centerpiece of our proposal is the Buffalo State Sportsplex, an indoor field house serving the needs of both Buffalo State College and the general public. Demand for sports playing fields available to the public is high. Buffalo State College has emphasized the necessity of financial self-sufficiency when evaluating proposals. We anticipate that user fees will fund the financing and operation of the Sportsplex. Jonathan Morris, principal architect of the project, will speak to you in a moment about the proposal in detail. But first, I'd like to introduce you to our team. The primary developer for our Sportsplex is Sportstar Capital Incorporated. Sportstar, in a private-public partnership with the town of Welland, Ontario, developed the Young's Sportsplex, a $15 million, 120,000 square foot facility. That facility features indoor tennis, soccer, football, lacrosse, rugby, frisbee, baseball training, and golf driving. Designed to be as flexible as possible, that Sportsplex is functionally similar to the proposed indoor field house for Buffalo State College. Specific uses and features will be determined in collaboration with Buffalo State College and in response to market opportunities in the region. Carmina Wood Morris, project architects, have completed numerous projects in the Buffalo market. Jonathan Morris, principal architect for this project, was also the architect for the Lafayette Hotel restoration and the Tishman building conversion. Giona Palercio, John's collaborator on the West proposal, is project architect of the new condominium project at 1111 Elmwood Avenue at the corner of Forest. Environmental Design and Research DPC is responsible for our site master plan and for the landscape architecture of our plan. BlackRock Rail LLC is the owner of railroad rights-of-way connecting Dart Street to Tonawanda Street. And Colby Development LLC, the firm with which I'm affiliated, offers commercial real estate brokerage and property management services as well as real estate developmental services. Colby Smith, founder of Colby Development, has more than 30 years of executive experience in commercial real estate development. Here are some of the projects recently overseen by Colby. The Chautauqua Center, Jamestown, New York, $15 million. AP Lofts, Larkinville, $26 million residential conversion, Elmwood Village Charter Schools, Hurdle Avenue, and Days Park. And we are pleased to be the developer's representative for the $40 million redevelopment at Silo City, breaking ground this fall. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce lead architect for the West proposal, Jonathan Morris, principal at Carmina Wood Morris. John?
Thanks, Bob. It's great to be here today and representing our design team as we run through this details of our concept. The Buffalo State College campus is bounded by Elmwood Avenue to the east, Rockwell Road and the Richardson Complex to the south, Grant Street to the west, and the Scajaquada Creek and Expressway to the north. The college is configured in a classic campus design of quadrangles and nodes connected by pedestrian pathways with vehicular traffic kept to the perimeter. Bengal Walk is the primary pedestrian spine running east-west through the campus with circular nodes at intersections with other walkways and at major facility entrances, like the sports arena. The west end of Bengal Walk is the Student Union at the heart of campus. At its eastern end, at Grant Street, truncates Bengal Walk at a small brick paver circle. While the new Alumni Center at Grant Street and Rockwell Road has marked a major vehicular entrance to campus, the campus's primary pedestrian spine ends at the street. This development opportunity represents a watershed moment for Buff State to expand their campus westward to the creek and redefine Grant Street as a corridor through the campus instead of a containing boundary. The east end of Buff State's campus is anchored by the iconic Rockwell Hall, the Birchfield Penny and Albright Knox art museums, marking the cultural end of the campus. The campus's west end is marked by the sports arena and the football stadium, the athletics end of campus, and in between are the academic, student services, and residential buildings where daily campus life thrives. And what we heard from the college was that classrooms, housing, and parking needs were all adequately met by existing facilities. And the only thing lacking was more open green space and fields for students' casual and organized activities. In keeping with the campus plan and in response to those needs, our West proposal establishes a major new student activities and athletics building, pulling the Bengal Walk western terminus across Grant Street into a major new outdoor plaza that celebrates entrance to the Buff State College campus from the north. The building replaces current open parking lots along Grant Street, configured alongside the campus safety building number 50 to embrace the new public open space and establish a built edge along the street. Linear roof monitors bring an abundance of natural light into the building. The new Sportsplex facility will house an NCAA-compliant 400-meter track and field venue with an infield large enough for collegiate soccer, lacrosse, or even an indoor practice facility for Bengals football in inclement weather. Divider nets can partition the field to allow for multiple simultaneous functions. Grandstand seating for 2,600 spectators and an elevated mezzanine encircling the entire field provide ample opportunities for viewing events, informal gatherings, and an indoor walking circuit. Concessions, gear shops, coaching offices, training rooms, locker rooms, toilet facilities, and other support spaces allow for a fully functioning, multifaceted athletic plan. The marrying of the new Sportsplex to the University Police Building 50 is a strategic planning decision. The main drop-off loop for the Sportsplex incorporates the vehicular access to Building 50 and encircles the pedestrian plaza at the west end of Bengal Walk. The plan provides clear wayfinding and 24-hour surveillance of activities at this end of campus. The indoor street alongside the University Police Building extends the campus pedestrian spine through to the outdoor field and Scajaquada Creek beyond, expanding campus walkability in a barrier-free and inclusive environment. The deliberate positioning of the Sportsplex on the current Grant Street parking lot also leaves the property east of Dart Street entirely open for outdoor field space along the creek. We are showing a USA baseball-compliant field with grandstands that could allow Buff State Athletics to implement a men's Division III baseball program to complement their women's softball program. An outdoor viewing deck above the right field fence is accessible from the Sportsplex mezzanine, and lights on the baseball field highlight the western portion of campus at dusk and evening, especially when viewed from the Scajaquada Expressway. This rendering also shows how our west development extends the Rockwell Road Parkway across Grant Street as a similar Letchworth Parkway, running past the new Sportsplex facilities around a traffic circle at Dart Street and continuing on Wayne Bacon's land across the rebuilt Scojaquita Creek train trestle and extending all the way to Tonawanda Street. The creek crossing offers an on-campus launching spot for small watercraft, and the new road offers through-street access between burgeoning developments along Niagara and Tonawanda Streets and Elmwood Avenue. We believe this connection opens the door for possible development of 7.5 acres of vacant land along the new road west of the creek and would encourage future development along the Grant Street corridor. Buffalo State College, connected by this enhanced street grid, will be a driver of this demand, with the Grant-Rockwell intersection no longer just marking the southwest corner of campus, but signifying a major crossroads within the campus. Please note that while Rockwell Road is privately owned by the college, we envision the city of Buffalo owning the improved Letchworth Parkway. We do not expect that upgrade to fall within the scope of Buff State's responsibilities. The Letchworth roadway improvement would require New York State and municipal support, but Buffalo State College could play a very critical role in that infrastructure upgrade by either supporting or opposing the concept. The Sportsplex siting on land already controlled by the college allows the facility to prosper irrespective of the extension of the Letchworth-Rockwell Parkway, but we urge the Buffalo State to plan for and endorse the possibility that this street may eventually be constructed, even if its development is not concurrent with the Sportsplex development. Make your development future-proof by planning for it now. The other real estate development potential centers on the remaining parcel at the corner of Letchworth and Grant Street. The future purchase of that property would present the opportunity for a mid-rise hotel or other commercial development complementing the Alumni Center directly opposite, anchoring the new and energized prominent intersection at the center of a vibrant Grant Street college town. We offer some images to help paint a picture of what that neighborhood might look like. These slides are of local familiar buildings that could fit in the space between our Sportsplex and Letchworth Street and across Grant Street in front of the dormitories. Currently, visitors exiting the expressway at Grant Street heading south drive along a nondescript boundary of Buff State College. With a fully realized West Plan in place, these same visitors will be immersed in the middle of a vibrant college community. And this is what your students seek, and we believe that this is also what the neighborhood desires.
Implementation strategy. The West team possesses the developmental expertise, access to financing, and legal knowledge and experience to navigate complex real estate development through the bureaucratic jungle. But even with all those strengths, many otherwise worthy projects have languished and perished due to community opposition. No significant project today will win support in government circles if it does not win support on the ground, including support from those most impacted. We understand that and we applaud it. Our project aims to better integrate Grant Street into the fabric of Buffalo State College and to better integrate Buffalo State College into the fabric of the neighborhood. We're confident this will find support in the neighborhood. I'm a neighbor, so is our company. I live on the first block of Amherst Street east of Grant, and our corporate offices are downstairs. We care about Grant Street, but we know we're not the only people who care about Grant Street or this neighborhood, and we're eager to reach out to all stakeholders. We mean that sincerely. I'd like to give you a concrete example of how our team values soliciting input from stakeholders. Wayne Bacon, owner of Black Rock Rail LLC, is a member of our team. Mr. Bacon owns the former railroad parcel stretching from Dart Street to Tonawanda Street. On the day that Buffalo State introduced this request for proposals to the community of developers, care was taken by Buffalo State officials to highlight the fact that the former railway bisecting the subject parcels was not included in the sale. It was made clear to all of us that if we wished to include the property of the former railroad, we would have to work with that owner, who was pointed out to us and introduced, and yet our team was the only team that so much as bothered to call him. Mr. Bacon holds a critical piece of real estate located in the middle of the project. He was pointed out to all of us, and yet only one team approached Mr. Bacon to solicit his input, our team. And the result is a far better concept. Because it turns out that Mr. Bacon owns not only the railroad parcel bisecting the impound lot, but he also owns the railroad bridge crossing the Scojaquita Creek and the former railroad land extending to Tonawanda Street. We changed our concept and incorporated Mr. Bacon's ideas for connecting Tonawanda Street to Buffalo State College because we recognized the value of the idea for both the surrounding neighborhood and for Buffalo State College. But the point is this: Our team only became aware of the possibility because we truly believe in collaboration, proactive solicitation of stakeholder input, and optimizing a project by embracing rather than opposing other stakeholder interests. Collaboration is part of our DNA. We want to create a more perfect project. That cannot happen without the meaningful input from others. We're eager to interact, as our record on this project demonstrates. Buffalo State College and its western neighbor will both benefit from the immersion of Buffalo State College into the fabric of Grant Street. Unique among its SUNY peers, Buffalo State alone features an urban setting, a popular if scarce commodity in New York State public university life. By building the Sportsplex on Grant Street, by extending Bengal Walk across Grant Street, by opening up developmental opportunities along Grant Street to encourage Hurdle Avenue-like and Elmwood Avenue-esque atmosphere into the Buffalo State College campus itself, Buffalo State College will define this key block of a major thoroughfare. It will catalyze private development along Grant Street stretching south of Letchworth to Forest. Our proposal repositions Buffalo State to become a more integral component of the community, making Buff State a bit less of an island unto itself. Buffalo State College's urban character should be embraced and celebrated. Buffalo State's Elmwood entrance is fantastic. Any visitor to campus will be impressed by the college and by the city itself when arriving or leaving campus at Elmwood Avenue. Our proposal aims to transform Grant Street into an equally appealing entrance.
Thank you, Team Colby and the West proposal. Our second team today is we'll call Team McGuire. It's McGuire Development Company. Let's hear from them.
Good evening. My name is Eric Ekman. I am the Vice President of Development and Acquisitions at McGuire Development Company. We are excited to present our concept for reimagining the Dart Street property and extending that vision to a broader Buffalo State College campus approach. I would like to make it clear that this is McGuire Development's proposal, which is not endorsed by Buffalo State College, nor have we collaborated with Buffalo State to develop our proposal. We hope to be selected to begin the important next phase of working with Buffalo State and the community to evolve our proposal into reality. Our presentation is divided into three parts. First, information about the development team and our experience. Next, a description of our concept and vision. And then lastly, discussion on implementation. Our team consists of McGuire Development, with key members of myself as project lead, being heavily backstopped by Jim McGuire, CEO, Danielle Shane Brown, President, Chief Business Officer, David Vonderow, President, Chief Operating Officer, and a number of people across McGuire's various divisions, which offer development, owner representation, brokerage, and property management services. Also part of the team is Carmina Wood Morris as the project architect, with design efforts led by Steve Carmina and Paul Lang. And as part of our vision beyond Dart Street, we are also working with the Richardson Center Corporation as a partner in our development proposal. As I will discuss, we step outside of the Buffalo State boundaries and connect with the Richardson Olmsted campus and the Innovation Center, owned and operated by the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. Since our broader vision targets companies that are evolving and have the potential for growth, we wanted to connect with organizations whose purpose it is to facilitate this growth. McGuire Development has 15 years of experience in developing a wide variety of project types. To provide examples, I will briefly go through the 6 projects on this list. Compass East represents a 150,000 square foot hospital building conversion to office space and with a residential component. Located near downtown and on the African American Heritage Corridor, it demonstrates a creative reuse approach and accommodating a wide range of commercial tenants. McGuire provided owner representation services for successfully finishing the Hotel Henry project, as well as development consulting work for investigating further historic rehab and adaptive reuse options on the campus. 79 Perry reflects the successful completion of a historic rehab and adaptive reuse project for Pagula Sports and Entertainment, which delivered 79,000 square feet of restaurant, office, and residential uses. Leased by the Buffalo Public School District, 75 West Huron was successfully completed this year. It's a 100,000 square foot historic rehab and adaptive reuse project, which also included a newly constructed gym addition. McGuire provided development services to IBM for an innovation center at Key Center in downtown Buffalo. This demonstrates McGuire's experience in collaborating with multiple government entities and fulfilling a requirement for tech-focused space. Lastly, Herald Square is a mixed-use, high-rise project located in downtown Ithaca, currently under construction and due for completion in October. It involves 78 apartments and 70,000 square feet of commercial space. The project offers both new construction and a historic rehab component. We have been working with tech-based companies for filling the office space. So moving on to our concept vision. Starting with the Dart Street property, our concept is simply to create a multi-purpose athletic field on what is now an eyesore and disappointing foreground for the Buffalo State College campus. We also propose a pedestrian path and along Route 198, landscaping enhancements, associated roadway and sidewalk improvements, and creation of a parking area for field and path usage. Consideration is given to future pedestrian connections and Scajaquada Creek access. Our goal is to transform this car lot eyesore into a green billboard for Buffalo State, to create open space and a place to support and showcase athletic activity. We are not proposing a new building on this property for the following reasons. There is planning rethinking underway for Route 198. We thus feel it premature to propose new development at the Dart Street property until plans for 198 become finalized. Similarly, Scajaquada Creek improvements may be around the corner and related to the redesign outcome of Route 198. This plan shows a reimagined Scajaquada Creek, which would result in Buffalo State College becoming a waterfront campus. Imagine that. An athletic field at the Dart Street property does not close the door on this vision. That is, to restore to some degree what was there historically. The Dart Field concept thus offers a highly visible amenity and flexibility for accommodating future transformative change. Instead, we propose focusing development activity in Buffalo State's core area, which I will talk about shortly. Our proposal will benefit Buffalo State and the local community through curb appeal. An out-of-place eyesore would be transformed for the community, creation of usable open space, and allowing flexibility for future change with larger planning efforts for 198 in the creek. We also envision Buffalo State College taking advantage of this opportunity through creation of a large-scale mural on their building facing the proposed Dart Field, labeled BSC Operations on the plan. So how does this fit into a larger vision? First, our proposal starts at the Dart Street property and then begins to make connections to the main campus. For example, Dart Street would be improved in order to provide pedestrian-focused access to the proposed athletic field and adjacent parking areas. This work is all about sidewalks and street trees. In addition, Letchworth Street would be extended into the Dart Street property, and a new parking area would be created for the athletic field and future Scajaquada Creek access. It is important that Letchworth Street becomes more pedestrian and bicycle-oriented for creating safe and enjoyable passage to and from the parking areas here and on the main campus. This work would extend the improvements already performed on Letchworth east of Grant Street. We now arrive at the essence of our proposal, which is a broader vision and not in direct response to the RFP for the Dart Street property. Our argument is to focus investment and development activity in the core of the Buffalo State campus, that is along Rockwell Road. This involves repurposing the Clinton Center and transforming it into an innovation center. Based on our outreach and market research, we feel that there is opportunity to attract advanced manufacturing and hardware development companies to Buffalo State for a variety of reasons. Companies evolving out of their startup phase often require spaces in the 5,000 to 15,000 square foot range. And these types of spaces are not readily available, and especially not in a clustered setting. The Clinton Center offers 38,000 square feet of subdividable space that could easily accommodate a handful of tenants. These advanced manufacturing and hardware development companies would want to locate at the Innovation Center to collaborate with each other and Buffalo State's engineering and industrial technology departments. Mutually beneficial relationships could result where Buffalo State students experience real-time engineering and technology challenges, and these companies can help to steer department curriculum to create a customized labor pool for supporting company growth. This relationship would position both Buffalo State and these companies for greater success. The Clinton Innovation Center would also be designed to be interactive with the Buffalo State community, as this rendering envisions. Ideally, events would be held at the Innovation Center's front plaza. Food trucks would park there. Companies would showcase their products. Building transparency would allow for glimpses of manufacturing processes. A test yard facing Hotel Henry could be alive with activities extending out of the building. With the success of the Clinton Innovation Center, this could trigger further development activity in partnership with the Richardson-Olmsted campus. As shown in this plan, the barn, an existing and dilapidated building already there, could be historically rehabilitated and adaptively reused as a food hall. The new construction 200-acre hub complex could support creative office and additional advanced manufacturing spaces. The concept behind the office space is that the advanced manufacturing companies would consolidate their office requirements together so the manufacturing space could be more efficiently used but still be in proximity. The 200-acre hub would further support collaboration and partnership with Buffalo State. The 200-acre hub building is intended to offer flexibility in concept, inspire, and look to the future. This diagram shows the opportunity that the Rockwell Innovation District would accommodate. That is, providing step-up space for growing advanced manufacturing and tech-based companies. The attraction for these growing companies to locate here is because of the strong relationship with Buffalo State and a connection to the local community of incubation and startup spaces. This diagram shows how the Rockwell Innovation District depends on participation by both Buffalo State and the Richardson-Olmsted campus to fully realize the vision. In summary, our vision for the Rockwell Innovation District has the following goals. First, connect advanced manufacturing and creative companies directly with Buffalo State College. Next, transform Rockwell Road into a local business and community hub. And lastly, facilitate functional and visual connections between Buffalo State College and the Richardson-Olmsted campus. So how do we execute? Our vision will evolve as we continue with the community engagement process, starting with any feedback received and continuing through to plan finalization. Our steps will involve initial outreach, most importantly, working with Buffalo State, since they have not yet been at the table for crafting this vision and plan. Interfacing with community organizations to receive feedback and develop ideas. Opening public dialogue and keeping it open. Based on feedback, the concept will be refined, and then finally, we would start the formal permitting process with the city. Our project is about incorporating Buffalo State and the Richardson-Olmsted campus into a broader vision for the region. One that looks to a future involving job growth through advanced manufacturing and hardware development, and one that is connected to the surrounding community. We will strive for placemaking and a multi-pronged approach for a better chance of success. Here's an example of the groups and organizations we spoke with in creating this proposal, and who we continue speaking with as we move along. This list would also be expanded. As for strategies for financing, the Dart Street property and associated improvements amount to $2.5 million, and funding would be administered through Buffalo State College. The Clinton Innovation Center costs, totaling approximately $7.3 million, would be funded through private equity, conventional financing, and additional public-private sources. These projects rely on creative structuring and full utilization of available incentives. We thank you for your time and consideration and look forward to receiving your feedback. We hope that this is the beginning for advancing what we think is a very exciting project.
So we thank McGuire Development Company for its Rockwell Innovation District proposal. Our third and final presentation this evening is from the team Uniland, and we will hear from them now.
Good evening. My name is Kalina Kane, and I am the Director of Real Estate Development for Uniland Development Company. The West Scajaquada and Black Rock Harbor corridor is an important part of Buffalo's recreational trailway and waterway system, and the Dart Street site borders an urban anchor institution, Buffalo State College. We view this development as a catalyst for the rejuvenation of West Scajaquada and have crafted a plan that is guided by and builds on the vision articulated by community organizations and the City of Buffalo. Tonight, I'm excited to share with you our proposal, the Paramount Athletic and Recreational Center, or PARC for short, a year-round multi-sport facility, the concept of which is rooted in real need for access to indoor sports and recreation facilities by our city's youth, athletic organizations, and the community as a whole. We have assembled the right team to deliver a successful project that can catalyze new investment in this area. Our team will work together with Buffalo State College, the City of Buffalo, the community, and local stakeholders. Uniland has completed many notable projects, such as the Delaware North Building and Avant, and is one of the largest real estate development firms in Western New York. We have developed over 13 million square feet and have over 7 million square feet currently under management. Uniland is vertically integrated in order to offer a seamless, one-stop real estate solution, including development, design, financing, construction, project management, property management, and maintenance. This gives us a unique, multifaceted approach to all of our projects. The Uniland team will be led by myself as Director of Development and our CEO, Michael Montante, with our combined experience of over 45 years in developing successful projects in the Buffalo area. Our Vice President of Construction, Planning, and Design, David Riley, will oversee all aspects of the construction process to deliver a high-quality project based on his 40-plus years of experience. Kevin Kirk, our Director of Planning and Design, is leading our design team and effectively translating our collaborative vision into reality. Uniland is working with our partners at Paramount Athletics and Recreation to ensure that the project has competent management and sustainable operations. Co-founder Asani Samuels is a former Division I soccer player with Canisius College and played professionally with the Rochester Rhinos, where he was named MVP in their 2015 championship season. He has a decade of experience in local youth athletics and is technical director for Delaware Soccer Club. Anthony Habib brings many years of private sector experience to the sustainable business operations of Park. He is the board chairman of Pelicano Specialty Foods, former owner of Petrie Baking Products, and has invested in multiple local businesses. Anthony has contributed to numerous philanthropic causes and serves on the boards of multiple local organizations. Specific to sports and recreation, Uniland has a proven track record of delivering quality sporting and recreational developments, such as the $14 million expansion to Canisius High School, including the Bernard J. Kennedy Fieldhouse on Delaware Avenue, as well as a $2.1 million addition, including a gymnasium to the former Holy Angels Academy. We're excited to use our know-how to create an exceptional recreational experience on Dart Street. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Park, the Paramount Athletic and Recreational Center, a year-round facility offering indoor and outdoor sports, open to community members of all ages and surrounding athletic organizations. The field house includes a turf field for sports such as soccer and lacrosse, and a multi-use gymnasium for a variety of hard surface sports, including volleyball and basketball. Planned amenities include locker rooms, team meeting spaces, batting cages, and a yoga studio. An outdoor field covered with high-quality turf can be utilized for a wide variety of field sports, like field hockey and ultimate frisbee. Park includes a recreational rental building for bicycle, kayak, and canoe rentals, and a water launch providing opportunities to access the Scajaquada Creek and nearby waterways. I'd like to introduce our project partner and Park co-founder Asani Samuels to share more detail about Park.
The idea for Paramount Athletic and Recreational Center, or Park for short, came from my experience in Western New York athletic community. Over the last decade, I've played Division I college soccer for Canisius College and professionally for the Rochester Rhinos. Throughout my time in college, I was a volunteer coach for a variety of local soccer organizations, including Delaware Soccer Club, Kenmore Soccer Club, and the Western New York Flash. Since returning to Buffalo in 2017, I've served as the technical director of Delaware Soccer Club. One of the biggest limitations that stuck out to me during my time as a player and organizer was the lack of quality athletic facility in the city of Buffalo. We understand that the most important part of the success of a new athletic complex is the management and programming. That's why I've leveraged my years of experience and many relationships within the Western New York athletic community to develop Park concept and the business plan, and will use those resources to recruit professionals with experience in sports complex management to implement our operations plan and cultivate a positive, inclusive atmosphere. Our plan includes forming strategic relationships with local youth, middle school, high school, collegiate, amateur, and professional athletic programs to sustain operating hours much longer than most facilities in the Buffalo area. One of the biggest hurdles to creating a sustainable indoor athletic facility is filling field time during the typical workday. Sportsplex typically opens at 4 p.m. and the Epic Center usually opens at 3 p.m. during the week. Sailings support limited daytime operations based on local business use. Park's Dart Street location is its biggest advantage, giving us the ability to partner with local college programs and provide field time throughout the day, Monday through Friday. We expect colleges to utilize the space for practices, games, ID camps, tryouts, clinics, and tournaments. Our goal is to create a multi-sport community hub with all-day programming and activities throughout the week. In addition to fields and gymnasium space, the facility will be able to host a variety of events, from birthday parties to corporate team building outings and even large community events like charity walk or runs. a yoga studio, golf simulator, batting cages, locker rooms, and a full-size outdoor field round out the amenities available at park and make the facility a true hub for athletics in the city of Buffalo. We believe that park will be an instant hit in Buffalo, hosting a wide array of events and activities throughout the week, and will provide a unique experience accessible to all athletes and sports organizations in Buffalo.
Thanks, Asani. Let's take a look at the proposed conceptual site plan. An approximately 64,000 square foot indoor field house and outdoor turf field will be built on 8.8 acres at Dart Street. To provide easy access for parents, a drop-off area is located directly in front of the field house entrance. Parking is located throughout the site, at the drop-off area, near the outdoor field, and during peak hours on nights and weekends, we plan to share parking on Buffalo State College's underutilized adjacent parking lot. Our estimated project timeline, based on project award by the end of 2020, would put us at an estimated opening in June of 2022, well past our current concerns with the COVID-19 pandemic. Before we landed on an athletics and recreation concept for Dart Street, our team began by assessing our community's needs. We reviewed plans and studies from Buffalo State College, the City of Buffalo, the Wilson Foundation, and the Black Rock Riverside Alliance, and found that new athletic facilities were a commonly identified need. Studies on community health support this need. Lack of exercise is a major factor in negative long-term health outcomes. And numerous reports show that children in our communities do not get the exercise they need to stay healthy. Access to indoor sporting facilities in the city of Buffalo is one of the biggest impediments to year-round activity. The Wilson Foundation funded State of Play report by the Aspen Institute details that in Buffalo there is a pressing need for an indoor sports complex for basketball, volleyball, soccer, lacrosse, and other sports during the winter months. Right now there isn't one. And that existing sporting facilities are older and in need of investment. Erie County has only 4 indoor facilities for field sports, or 1 for every 213,000 people, much lower than other major New York State counties. As you can see here, other major counties in New York State have better capacity for indoor sports, with more facility space per person than Erie County. Only 1 indoor facility is located within the city of Buffalo, the Nardin Academy Athletics Center, which was built to serve Nardin's needs and has limited availability for outside groups. The remaining 3 existing facilities in our region are located in the outer suburbs and are effectively inaccessible without personal transportation, severely limiting access for Buffalo families. In addition to access to recreation for city residents, our proposal provides many community benefits: the cleanup and brownfield remediation of a site that's currently an eyesore, and the activation of large parcel near an important urban anchor institution and a crucial waterway. But one of the biggest benefits of this proposal is that it can act as a catalyst for future development in the surrounding neighborhood. Our proposed conceptual site plan represents what we can do at a minimum within the limitations of the existing site. Now, I would like to share 3 master plans that were developed by our team and not in partnership with Buffalo State College, which represent a broader vision for the site and surrounding parcels. This vision expands on ideas generated by the city and neighborhood organizations and is something that will evolve as we collaborate with the community. Our first proposed conceptual master plan is for a mixed-use neighborhood where commercial and multifamily uses support the city's Tonawanda Street Corridor Brownfield Opportunity Plan to increase density, develop residential infill, enhance employment opportunities, and create a live-work neighborhood along the Scajaquada Creek. Adding new residential infill and commercial uses to the improved water and trailway access expands the concept from live-work to live-work-play. Proposed mixed-use building heights fit within the character of the surrounding neighborhood, and buildings fronting Grant Street improve walkability and vibrancy near one of Buffalo State College's primary entrances. Our second proposed conceptual master plan is another live-work-play mixed-use neighborhood, but is lower density. The outdoor field is moved across the street, and the parcel adjacent to the creek has low-rise mixed-use buildings. This concept preserves a large amount of existing parking for Buffalo State College, but still includes mixed-use infill along Grant Street and increases employment opportunities with new commercial development. Our third proposed conceptual master plan has the highest density, combining mixed-use buildings along the creek and on the existing parking lot. In this instance, the outdoor field is located on a nearby site. Here you can see an aerial blocking plan illustrating the scale and density of this final conceptual master plan. As you can see, our vision is for the Dart Street site to become an athletics and recreation hub, providing a unique node that accesses trailways and recreational waterways connecting throughout our city. Here is a map that shows how Park's Dart Street location is linked to existing pedestrian and bike trails in our city. We propose updating the existing bridge across the Scajaquada Creek to connect nearby pedestrian and bicycle pathways. With a new pedestrian bridge across Scajaquada Creek, people can reach Scajaquada Pathway to the east, connecting to Delaware Park, as well as the Riverwalk section of the Lake Erie Shoreline Trail to the west, which continues south to LaSalle Park, Canalside, and the Outer Harbor. Access to waterways is an equally important part of creating our recreational hub. The rental stand will give access to kayaks, canoes, and stand-up paddleboards so that anyone can spend a day exploring Buffalo's waterways. From the paddle sport launch, users can head south down the Black Rock Canal, paddle their way inside the breakwall and under the Peace Bridge, south to the inner and outer harbors. You may be wondering how we plan to move this concept and vision forward. As you've heard, we've integrated ideas from existing neighborhood plans created by community organizations like the Black Rock Riverside Alliance. We feel that our proposal addresses the wants and needs of the community captured in these documents. If selected, Uniland will work with the community. Uniland has experience working with multiple stakeholders, including the community, to create a collaborative process in order to deliver a successful project for everyone. We plan to engage neighbors, businesses, and stakeholders by holding meetings to present our plans and collect feedback to strengthen our concept. It is an important part of our development plan to refine our concept with the input of community members interested in the revitalization of the former city impound lot. As it relates to our strategies for financing this project, we will bring our experience in sourcing over $2 billion in projects to this development. The funding will include traditional debt, equity, brownfield tax credits, and the use of Opportunity Zone benefits. Our close relationships with a variety of lenders and public sector agencies will streamline a complicated, multi-sourced funding structure. With that, and on behalf of the Uniland and Paramount Athletics team, I'd like to thank you for your time and your interest in our proposal. We look forward to working with all of you on this unique opportunity to create a vital community asset within the Buffalo, Black Rock, and Buffalo State College communities. Thank you.
Why don't you hold right just for 1 minute? I'll introduce you both. Thank you very much, Uniland, for the Park District proposal. I would like briefly to introduce now two colleagues who are with us today. One, Hal Morris from the Greater Buffalo Niagara Regional Transportation Council, and Lou Haremsky, who is joining us from the Black Rock Riverside Alliance. They will be available to also respond to questions, and we'll bring them up from the audience afterwards. But for now, they will carefully maintain their 6-foot distance and exit stage left. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to change venue and move to panel discussion. It's a live session. It's moderated. It works best if you send us questions to any one of the developers or to our colleagues from GBNRTC or from Black Rock Riverside Alliance or from our kind of leadership team from Buffalo State College. To ask your question, please send it to dartstreet@buffalostate.edu or to the text-to-phone 716-309-4365. To get started, I'd like to begin with a kind of recognition that our audience is made up of people from the Buffalo State College, people whose primary interest is in the Black Rock, Riverside, and other surrounding neighborhoods affected by a site like this. And thirdly, from the city at Buffalo. Every site has an impact across our city, not just one place. So in that context, you just heard 45 minutes, and it was a lot like drinking from a fire hose. So I'm going to ask each of our guests to respond to each of those three constituencies with what they think the most important part of their proposal is. And I'm going to ask you to take them one at a time, and I'm going to give you a different list each time, so you'll come in a different order. But I'd like to start with a kind of recognition of the communities that are most affected by the developments being proposed. And what, Eric, would you most like to say to them about why it's a good thing for them to entertain?
Well, thank you very much. I think what's important to note is that with our proposal, we're looking to really create activity on the Buffalo State campus and draw the community in to create a destination along Rockwell Road. And we're really excited about that, and there's a lot of opportunities with that. We did step away from the Dart Street property in our proposal and think a recreation use is an appropriate use there, but really focused on how to energize that core of the campus and create something that is a draw for the community and beneficial to Buff State.
Thank you, Eric, very much. Jonathan, you want to take a shot at that one?
Sure. I think the exciting thing about our proposal, when Wayne Bacon got involved with our team, that whole idea of stretching the campus west beyond Grant Street and all the way to Tonawanda Street. I think that possibility was just a really exciting development for us. But I think we were, what we're primarily focused on is that connection of the broader city to the Buff State campus and trying to promulgate more development along Grant Street. And we think that the sportsplex that we're showing, while meeting the needs of the college and the community at large, we've heard lots of information about the lack of play space and indoor sports facilities, and I think all three teams have responded to that as a real need. We've done that as well, but tried to really focus on how that could be an impetus for further development along Grant Street and for this West Side neighborhood, and provide further connections from Niagara and Tonawanda Street over to the Elmwood District and to the Delaware Park and across the city in that east-west direction.
Thank you very much, Eric. Or Jonathan, forgive me. And Kalena?
Thank you again for hosting us tonight, Bob. Uniland Development Team is really excited to present the park proposal, which we feel like is rooted in addressing the needs of the greater community, including Buffalo State College, but extending into the neighborhoods that surround this critical location. And that's why we've really focused on the needs of the community and focusing on access to recreation and sports year-round, and also connecting to our greater recreational trails that already exist, but folks in the surrounding neighborhoods and throughout Buffalo may have limited access to. The other component that we think that we bring to the table besides community is a sense of feasibility and viability. Our project is a concept which directly answers the RFP for the 8.8 acres at Dart Street, and we can deliver on our proposal within the next year and a half. So hopefully if our team is chosen, come June 2022, we could be doing a ribbon cutting for a great community asset.
So some of the commentary requires me to offer some follow-up question to this, and we'll take it in different order. But the question I want to put to you is that often large footprint facilities are difficult neighborhood entries. And so in each of your proposals, there is this large footprint facility, whether it's the Innovation District or the sports facilities, that create a large perimeter condition that often aren't viewed as comfortable to the neighborhood. Do you have strategies that make them comfortable to the neighborhood that would elaborate on what you just introduced us to? And let me start with you, Jonathan.
I think what we proposed had, yes, the Sportsplex building itself to house that kind of sports facilities is a large indoor facility with a pretty tall roof, but we pitched that roof and then sloped that down so it got lower along the eave lines and connected it out to the street with a building that is 2.5 stories tall, trying to match the sort of scale of the other buildings along Grant Street and responding to the residential facilities across the street, that the large volume of that building was really set back away from the street. And then the streetscape along what we're proposing, where we're extending Letchworth, brings a pedestrian buffer and landscape buffer to the larger scale of the building that sits behind it. Although that entrance at the south side of the building along Letchworth, again, is down to a 2.5 story scale where it addresses the street.
Thank you, Jonathan. Kalena.
Sure. Again, the Uniland team focused on the Dart Street acreage, which is adjacent to an industrial warehouse. And so we thought it was best to locate the athletic field house adjacent to this property, which really sees less pedestrian activity because of the nature of the current use. And in our master plan, we really focus on creating infill development to create a very walkable street front along Grant Street and Letchworth so that we can encourage folks coming back through the site to arrive back at our athletic field house and also continue on to our access to the trailways and waterways.
Very clear. Thank you, Kalena. Eric?
Yes, thank you. So to clarify, we don't have a footprint issue on the Dart Street property since we're proposing a recreation field, but moving into the Rockwell Innovation District, first, we're looking to repurpose the existing building, the Clinton Innovation Center. So that's not introducing a new footprint. It's attempting to kind of reuse an existing building in a more creative and attractive way. And then secondly, and this is also would be guided by community input, look to further activate the street along that area with new construction and also reviving the existing barn structure that's on Richardson Olmsted campus. So I think our footprint impact is there with one of the new construction buildings, but mostly it's working with what's there existing and attempting to activate the street.
Thank you, and thanks for the clarification on the Dart Street. This is a subject that could go on and on because that fabric and the way you're connecting to it matters a lot. But I want to give you a chance to sort of scale up. You just spoke to the communities. Let's talk to the city of Buffalo at large for a minute. And again, don't tell us everything you know. Keep it brief as you did. Thank you. But what's the very most important part of each of your proposals from the vantage point of the city of Buffalo? And let's start with you again, Eric.
Sure. So I think our most important point is, offering is job creation and activity and a way to kind of assist and support Buffalo State College in that area. So I think that's really what we're offering most of the city, a way to kind of create greater opportunity in the Rockwell Innovation District.
Elena?
Sure. I think the most important thing that we can offer to the city of Buffalo is really Uniland's reputation for results. I saw a quote from one of the Buffalo State representatives today saying they're really looking for a plan that's not going to take 10 years to deliver. And the plan that we proposed is something that's scaled to the neighborhood. It fits a real documented need for the whole community, and it's something that we stand behind being able to deliver that within the next 18 months, and we're excited to see it come to fruition.
And how about you, Jonathan?
I think our biggest contribution to the city would be the kind of facility that can serve not only the college, but the community at large, other schools, partnering with the Buffalo schools, community sports organizations. I think the idea is to have this facility open and functioning year-round and providing the need that everyone's identified as a real need for the city, for the residents, and for the students, and for the college. And I think that's our biggest contribution to the city. I think the other thing is the layout of the plan and what we do with Grant Street and that entrance to the city, to this part of the city from the highway as you get off at Grant Street and head south. We really want to mark that entrance into the campus and into what we hope to be a real vibrant Grant Street college town.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm going to read a text. Overall, I'm surprised by the lack of connections to Buffalo State College. Its values, distinctions, programs, goals, academics, and historical significance. All of the proposals seem to desire taking attention away from Buffalo State and its students. This focus seems confusing at best, insulting at worst. Just when you thought this was going to be easy, let's go with you first, Kalina.
Sure. Thanks, Bob. You give me the hard ball first. So as I understand the question is really wondering how our proposal is linked in with the Buffalo State College. I think just to step back for one moment and maybe inform some folks, during a formal RFP process, we are limited from our engagement with the issuer of the RFP, which would be Buffalo State College for this proposal. So of course, if the Uniland team is selected, we will continue to work hand in hand with the college, with the city, with the neighborhood, and the rest of the stakeholders to make sure that this is a plan that everyone is excited about. Another aspect is that Buffalo State College made it very clear at their very first meeting with all of the respondents that they cannot support this project financially. They're excited for it to be part of the community and to neighbor with them, but that it really needs to be self-sustainable. And so that limited the amount of use that we were able to tie directly to the college's needs. However, there has been an identified need for sports and recreation for the college, and that's where we feel that our park concept addresses that need. And we're hoping that the master plan will be filled with students, staff, professors, visiting professionals that really would understand and enjoy that synergy with the college because of the critical location.
Jonathan, Colby Development. Thank you, Kalina.
Well, as Kalina said, we were, given a specific piece of property to look at for development, and we weren't, we didn't have the benefit of working hand in hand and programming the facility with the input of Buff State. That's the next step to come. If we're selected, we would then work through that, refining the program. This is our response to what we have heard and what we understood about their facilities master plan and what they expressed to all of the development teams as a need. We walked the campus and spent a lot of time sort of understanding the layout of the school and the pedestrian pathways and vehicular circulation, and we made a real strong attempt to bring our development into that and extending the existing infrastructure of the campus across Grant Street to really pull that development into and incorporate it into the college. And that was why we moved our building up onto Grant Street onto the current open parking lots and not built back on the actual Dart Street property, but kept that as open field space because we wanted to bring that development closer in and connect to the campus. So that was our attempt to do that. I think we certainly need to work with Buff State to refine that, but this is our response to what we heard, and we certainly look forward to doing that with Buff State.
Thank you, Jonathan. Eric, what's your shot at that from McGuire?
Sure, thank you. So to echo others' comments here, this is an incomplete process since we weren't in collaboration with Buffalo State College. So that's a necessary next step to advance any proposal. But our proposal for the Dart Street property was a recreation field geared towards Buffalo State. And then going to our broader concept, it was really focused on connecting with Buff State and particularly their technology departments and providing a space for companies to locate there and work with Buffalo State and develop curriculum around some of these technology companies and see what can come from that and what can grow from that. So that was really the basis of our proposal.
Thank you very much. I'm wondering if you have questions you would like to ask of Buff State or of Black Rock Riverside or GBNRTC. No's an okay answer. I just thought I'd test it.
I'll just, building on the last response, just the opportunity to get to the table with all those folks and to be able to really talk about what the needs are in the campus and in the community and the neighborhood. We've identified all those groups, but we haven't been able to sit down and roll up our sleeves and get some pencils out and start really working through that process. And there's all sorts of questions that I want to put on the table as we start working through that. But we start with a plan and an idea, and you get feedback from that, and it starts to refine into whatever the ultimate goal is, and the ultimate project is a result of that collaboration. So, specific questions, it's sort of wide open. But
So to be determined. Galena?
I just wanted to echo John. As everyone has pointed out, this process tonight is very interesting and not the usual format. I think that having conversations directly with the neighborhood is the part that I'm most looking forward to when we're able to do that and in a more comfortable format. And really those ideas and concepts that come out of those casual conversations are some of the best inspiration for bringing our concept forward.
Thank you. Eric?
So we did do some outreach and did talk to some organizations and some groups, and that helped to direct our proposal. We actually did start with a building proposal on Dart Street, and through conversations and digging in a little bit, that shifted. Our focus shifted, and we kind of went in a different direction. But that, in part, was from community outreach. But we're only starting that process, and we look forward to really hearing what the community, what groups and organizations are interested in, and looking forward to kind of responding to that.
Thank you very much. I'm going to put our Vice President for Finance and Administration on the table here for just a moment. Lori, thank you for joining us. We've been getting a little bit of narrative from our listeners, and they're wondering about, simultaneously, we're not in this, and here we are. And the tension that creates for some of them is a tension about where's the academic institution and values driving in relationship to the whole RFP process. And I know you've given some thought to that, so maybe you could share.
Sure. So when we began this process, we took the RFP process very seriously and wanted to ensure we were maintaining the integrity of that process. And part of that was we did not want to go out with any preconceived notion that the college had something in mind. We really wanted to allow respondents and others to come up with innovative, creative solutions for this project. So with that in mind, we went out first and met with a lot of campus stakeholders, broader community stakeholders, to inform our RFP, to understand our vision, what we were looking at, as I mentioned earlier tonight. We shared that in the RFP. We also had a respondents meeting where we met with all of them, and with our provost, Jim Mayrose, we went through our academic plan, some of our key priorities and programs that we were working on, as well as an overview of our facilities master plan, including 2 key recent studies to updating that, which was a space utilization study and also a housing master plan, both of which help to inform some of the information that you're hearing tonight.
Thank you very much. That's really helpful. There are still some difficult questions on the table, so hang on. All of us have been embroiled since the killing of George Floyd in a community-wide conversation, and it comes to rest in colleges all across the country regarding things such as anti-racism programming and an understanding of the Black Lives Matter movement. In a way, those conversations affect everything. And one of our listeners, recognizing you've been at this before COVID, now after, and before the social unrest we're now experiencing and the challenges we must face, would you change your proposals, knowing now what you know about the intensity of those circumstances? And this is hard to say who should go first, so I'll ask for a volunteer.
I actually volunteered to go first.
Thank you.
So I think that so much has come to be in our current events since we started working on these proposals. And it's always difficult to try to evolve your concept and your proposal while the ground is moving underneath of you, so to speak. I still feel very confident in our general overall concept because it really is rooted in community need. And I know that that may offend some folks that are really tied, strongly to Buffalo State College, but we know the college is really invested in the community and the surrounding neighborhood as well, which is why our plan is also rooted in the community and the surrounding neighborhood. And while an athletic and recreation center may not be able to move mountains, we do think that having access to every single person in the city of Buffalo that can reach by public transportation an indoor year-round athletic and recreation center, whether kids are coming there for after-school programs, whether retirees are walking there during the day, whether it's a K through 12 program that gets held there like a Boys and Girls Club, off-site from the typical school setting. We just think that health and wellness is critical to anyone's advancement in life. And while, again, it may not be moving mountains for social injustice, we think that every little bit helps. And I feel very confident that our general overall concept, rooted in giving that access to the community, and also leveraging our existing trailways and waterways and giving that access on the west side of Buffalo, I think is really important, and I think it's something that can move the needle even a little bit.
Thank you, Kalena from Uniland. Eric from McGuire.
Sure, thank you. Our proposal is essentially about bringing opportunity, both in bringing companies to the campus and integrating with the campus. So as far as changing what we proposed, that change would come through the community process and through the outreach and working with Buff State. I think that our concept holds because it isn't really formed yet, and it's open for further evolution and interpretation.
Thank you. Tough questions are often the best. Thank you very much. I want to put one other question on the table, which is a kind of urban design context question that deals very much with the history of the site you're on. And ask what, if any, responsibility you have for that history and how it might be expressed in the proposal. We heard, for example, the siting decision that we have a warehouse, and so that creates a kind of siting condition that we heard from Uniland as one example of recent history. But this site and where it sits on the Sejaquada is also carries a kind of legacy of 1812 overtures and others, and there's also an ecological context from the creek. So in what ways are you addressing that more deep history? And Eric, I'll start with you on this one.
Sure, yes. There's certainly history to tap into with the shipyard from the War of 1812. And we did outreach with the Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper and understood kind of the movement afoot to re-envision the Sejaquada Creek, and that in part pushed us in the direction to move away from proposing structure or building on the Dart Street property, instead kind of refocusing to the core of the campus. So that kind of recognition of the history in the past and the environmental situation is kind of what pushed our proposal in a certain direction.
Thank you from McGuire. Appreciate it, Eric. Kalena, you want to take a shot from Uniland's perspective?
Sure. Our proposed concept for the 8.8 acres formerly located on Dart Street, the formal RFP request, as Bob referenced my previous answer, we're citing the larger structure adjacent to the existing warehouse, and we're leaving the rest of the area open for a sports field, and most importantly, adding that river launch. It's interesting for Buffalonians to be a waterfront city, but yet access to the water is very limited to most of our population in Buffalo. So we see this as a very unique opportunity for all populations that may not get usual access to the waterfront to be able to access it via Sejaquada Creek.
Thank you. Jonathan?
I think we have a similar approach. When we were laying out our master plan and looking at the bigger context of where this site sits in relation to the Sejaquada Creek and the walking path, bike path around the north side of the creek back to Delaware Park, we were wishing and hoping about the idea of the Sejaquada Expressway going away, and what some of the drawings that were shown here tonight. The fact that we've incorporated the crossing all the way to Tonawanda Street and incorporated a boat launch site at that trestle bridge that exists there, I think we're looking at pulling this part of the campus and this neighborhood further west and trying to make more of a connection to the Tonawanda, Niagara Street, Black Rock neighborhood, and really supporting that and building on that history and the connection to the creek, and opening up, hopefully, some great possibilities there.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to pull back a moment from format and invite Hal Morris to the platform. And Hal, you've been conducting a series of things around the Sejaquada corridor and how that might come to fruition over the long term. Maybe you can address the address to the ecology and history that has surfaced in that context, in that conversation.
Thank you, Dean Chilbley, and it is true. My name is Hal Morris. I'm director of the Metropolitan Planning Organization. We've been charged with looking at the 198, and it's traditionally been looked at in terms of what will you do next with that freeway, and we've changed the context of that discussion to include looking at proposals like we've heard tonight and proposals by other academic and cultural institutions, which are really great. Also looking at ecological features like the fine waterways and world-class park systems that we have in this area. Incorporating that with the discussion of what has been our institutional heritage in terms of our history and the architecture that's led us to this point. We are, in terms of the Sejaquada project, now looking at how those would be arrayed in the future, pulling those together to initiate a public discussion on what this part of the region would look like in the future, 10, 20, 30 years from now, and then using that as the start of what kind of transportation infrastructure investments as well as mobility services would be suggested and put in place to provide the kind of transportation services to make that future happen. So we've kind of changed the dynamic in terms of transportation infrastructure to looking first at what will it be like in the future and what kind of investments do we need to get us there. So that's the very short pitch in terms of how we're looking at this part. We're calling it Region Central. This has really been one of the historically oldest and grandest part of this. There's at least 5 classic neighborhoods arrayed right in this corridor, and we're taking that in the context of where can we be in the future and how can we nourish that with transportation investments.
Terrific. Thank you, Hal. So now, as we're getting ready to close, I'm getting a flood of new texts and questions. But I would like to invite our colleague Lou Haremsky from Black Rock Riverside to join us and maybe take some of these that are more community-based. There is a kind of family of questions that deal with kind of why athletics from the community perspective.
Well, for a lot of reasons. I'm Lou Haremsky. I'm president of the Grand Amherst Business Association, but I'm also associated with the Black Rock Riverside Alliance, which we teamed up with several years ago to do a study of the Skidjackwada, and we had a reference to several of the proposals accessing that. But as far as athletics, as a community organization, we've been involved with our community since about 1953. And for those of you that don't know, the Grand Amherst area or Black Rock, it's always been an immigrant community. Started out German, went to Polish, and now it's a whole lot of things. And what you realize when you see the kids in the neighborhood, football and baseball are not their sport. It's soccer. There was a proposal to use the brownfield area on Tonawanda Street. That didn't develop. We went ahead and started raising money with one of the soccer organizations. We've got a small soccer field that's in development now down behind the Wegmans on Amherst Street. It's not going to be full size, but it's going to be someplace where the kids in the neighborhood can go and have a game. And it's going to be someplace where, newer kids can pick up some skills. So we've been active in that. So, we're supportive of the athletic side to this. We're an underserved area. What's kind of ironic is the Narden facility is so close, but it's largely inaccessible. They're expanding with a lot of outdoor stuff, which may be helpful to the neighborhood because they've said that they'd make that available if necessary or if available. So I think it's an interesting thrust to it. I'm not sure Buffalo State needs more classrooms or dorm rooms at this point, so this fills a void for them and for the community. So.
Got it. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. Appreciate it. Colleagues, we have maybe 4 other questions. We're not going to get to them, but I will tell you that they deal with the programmatic dimensions of your proposals. And I think I can speak for all who have spoken today. What you see in these proposals will not be built the way you see it. They will evolve in the conversations to come, and they will be informed by much more and in-depth conversations than we're able to have in this format. You'll have an opportunity to go deeper with each of the individual teams in a session we're about to do in a Zoom room. The way to get there is posted on the Dart Street landing site or via the email you received for this evening's event. So I encourage you to take a 10-minute break when I conclude here, and then we will meet you in those individual rooms where you can speak to each of the development teams. You can go to all 3 rooms, you can visit them one at a time, you can skip between them. The idea is to be able to field those questions directly. The questions we did receive that we aren't able to respond to tonight, we will be responding to as we summarize the results of tonight's event. After this virtual presentation today, the recording and the full presentation and question and answer session will be available tomorrow by a link on our Dart Street Project website. The next steps in the process we're about to engage in is now through the end of 2020, we'll be gathering all information and feedback throughout the entire process to review and formalize a recommendation. There's a survey pending that you can get to through the landing site that will ask you, of the proposals you saw, what would you most like to keep and add emphasis to? What would you like to change? And what didn't you see that you would like to see? So all of that begins some of the conversation that all three of our guests have suggested needs to happen as a next step in this work. This recommendation will follow our previously stated review process with a final review and approval of the college president, Dr. Catherine Conway Turner, in her relationship then going forward with the city of Buffalo. By the first quarter of 2021, there is an anticipation that one of these teams would negotiate a local development agreement with the city of Buffalo and with the Buffalo State CR Corporation, and going forward from there, seeking approval for the LDA by the Common Council. All of those represent sort of formal steps in the process and opportunities for still further dialogue. A big next step is the design of the project as we will actually realize it, as opposed to what we saw tonight, which we know it will be modified and is subject to further conversation. So, colleagues, thank you very much for both participating in this format. It's a bit of an experiment. We are also grateful for your candor and clarity as you represent your teams in this process. So with great thanks to Jonathan at Colby Development, Eric at McGuire Development, and Kalena at Uniland Development. We'll take 10 minutes, might take a little longer. You'll come into the team rooms to visit with your teams according to the protocols, and you'll be admitted, so you'll be parked for a minute before we get started. We're going to move to those team rooms now. I thank everyone for their time and attention tonight, and we look forward to seeing how this project evolves.